The series that we started today is called On Earth as It Is in Heaven. Jesus taught him this prayer, but then he goes on and he explains to them this powerful principle about treasures and heart. And I'm going to read to you beginning in verse 19. It says, do not, this is Jesus speaking, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroys and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. Listen, here it goes. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Let me repeat that last phrase. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I want to introduce you to three treasure principles that I see in this passage. Number one, you can write this down. Treasure principle number one, your heart will always be close to where your treasure is at. Show me what you value, and that's where your heart is at. Show me what's important to you, and your heart is going to be close. Your affection, your emotions, your interest will lie very close to where your treasure is at. If I want to know what's important to someone, it's not always what they say with their lips, but it's what they talk about, think about, what they get emotional about, what that indicates where their heart is at. And Jesus was saying this. In essence, what Jesus was telling us is that most of us here on earth, we tend to make our treasure things that we can physically touch and see. And Jesus is saying, many of you are putting your treasure in the wrong place because your treasure needs to be placed in something that is not just temporary, but eternal. In fact, he describes what people put their treasure in. He says, do not lay up your treasure. Don't make your treasure that which moths and rust destroy and thieves break in. Back in the days of Jesus, the wealthy people, their garments, their robes were one of their treasures. And he said, moths can eat that. I don't know. I remember going to my grandmother's house and opening her closet, and I said, Grandma, what's that smell? And she said, it's mothballs. Anybody grow up smelling mothballs? I don't know where all the moths has gone, but I don't think moths are a thing anymore. If I ask my kids, you know what a moth is? They'd probably say no. But I guess back in the day, moths would get into closets and they would eat your clothes. And you would have holes in them. I don't know, the moths disappeared. We don't do that anymore. I don't know. But basically, moths eat clothes. And so back in the day, if moths got in your clothes, they would destroy your clothes. A lot of the Jewish people in the day, or back in the days of Jesus, they didn't have bank accounts or cryptocurrency. They had silver and gold and jewelry, and that's what they valued. And Jesus says that kind of treasure rusts with time. If it gets wet and moist and not in the right conditions, it'll rust. And he also says, you know, there is the threat of someone stealing what you have, so you can what you have could be stolen. That's all temporary treasures. And Jesus is saying, I'm challenging you to make sure that you lay treasures in a place where moth or rust or thieves cannot touch. In other words, I want you to start thinking more eternal than temporal.